Hello, welcome back to Benny's Take. I'm your girl Benny, and today I'm so excited to be sharing with you some of the ways that I've been taking care of myself mentally, physically, emotionally, as I've just grown into just a boss woman. I'm growing up, y'all. I'm growing up, like I'm coming into myself, and I'm sharing with you a couple of the things that I've been doing to just make myself feel good, to fall in love with myself, and all of those things. If you are excited for this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. And also follow me on my IG page where I share a lot of these tips. I share a lot of just little things you can do as a woman, as a person, to just make yourself feel good and whatever have you. So definitely check me out on IG. I'll be having some fun content, some inspirational content, and just everything in between. So definitely check that out, and let's go ahead and get started with this video. Alright, so the first thing I've been doing to take care of myself is just getting deep into the Word of God. I'm a Christian. For those of you that don't know, Jesus is Jesus. We just love the Lord over here. And I've realized that, I don't know, somewhere just along the way, I felt like I started putting God on the side. As though it was this vase right here. Oh, God is just over here. And I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And when I get stuck and when I feel overwhelmed, then I'm going to go ooh, God, what's happening? As opposed to actually making God and allowing God to be part of my daily life, part of my decision making, part of everything that I do. So in my development, in growing up, after you try certain things on your own and you fail miserably and you just learning and coming of yourself, in all of that, I just yo, let's go back to the basics. Jesus is still on the throne, prayer still works, and the Word of God is still alive. So some of the things that I've been doing is every morning, just not meditation, every morning devotion. I'll do my devotion in the morning. I will, get plugged into the Word, and also just listening to preaching, making it a point to, because sometimes I'll read a passage and I'll pray about it, but sometimes it's kind of okay, I'm not really sure what that says or what I'm supposed to get from this. Some of them are plain simple, but some of them sometimes they're not. And so plugging up with certain preachers that I respect, certain preachers that I feel are anointed, and just listening to preaching, not just on Sunday, on Monday I'll listen to my preaching, on Wednesday or whatever, just making it part of my daily routine as I'm driving or as I'm cleaning, as some of my clients just put on my headphones, getting the Word of God in me, just to stay plugged in, to stay consistent, to stay to remember who created me, what my purpose is, and what I'm supposed to be doing. Because if you haven't paid attention, the way the world is going, people don't know what they're doing. Y'all don't know. Y'all are out here talking about nothing. Okay, let's just keep it at that. Y'all is not out here talking about nothing. So in my development, and I've failed at this many times, but I was we gotta go back. Let's go back to who created me. Let's go back to who made me, who designed me as fabulous as I am. But let's go back to the basic. Let's go back to actually trusting God and letting God lead and letting God, guide. So that has been one of the first things that I've been doing. More Jesus and less drama, less people's opinions, more Word of God, less he, she said, Jesus. Jesus is what we went back to. And the second thing that I've been doing to take care of myself and just grow up as a person, listening to podcasts, listening to different, people, particularly women that I feel they have something to say, people that can empower you. The first one that I feel I take in a lot of is Mrs. Kev on Stage. You guys have seen me talk about their platform and whatever have you, but they did, because the podcast ended, but they did have a podcast called The Love Hour, where literally they would just share tips on relationships, tips on communication that you can take with you in romantic relationships, in family, in your personal life, in your job, in all of those things. And Melissa is incredibly smart. Melissa is incredibly smart. Some of the things that she says, the way she says it, it's just inspirational, just the woman that she is. It's amazing. So I listened to her. I also listened to Aries. She was one of the characters in Love on Stage, the one that was paired up with Jesus. Yeah, she has a podcast called Bold Black Girls, And she just like talks about just becoming a woman, how to take care of yourself, how to set boundaries, things of that nature. And I just love her, like, I love what she represents. She's very, like, strong, she's very calm, she's very direct, she's very kind, she's just very loving, she's very funny, at least from what I gather from the podcast. She has a podcast with one of her friends, and they just like, they plug you into with like different speakers, and it's just amazing. And I've been listening to her, listening to people like Lovey, listening to people like Amanda Seals, who's like one of my favorite just like entertainers ever, because she's very direct, she speaks her mind, she's truthful, she's about her business. So people like that just like getting plugged in. Different people that I follow, Mena, Cheesy Duru, just like so many creators that are putting content to help, women, to help empower women, to help just like, uplift women. So doing that just like makes me feel like, yes, I can do this. When I watch Mena do her makeup, I go attempt to do mine, and it's like we end up where we end up. But at least it puts you out of your comfort zone. It puts me out of my comfort zone, and I like listen to different women, just like how they've come up in their development, either via podcasts or like, some of them have YouTube channels, but they just like talk about different things like coming of age. Some of them talk about mental health, like anxiety, just like how they've overcome that. Some of them talk about therapy, and so like I get little nuggets from like their little therapy sessions, and it's like, I reflect on it and all of those things. It's been amazing, which then segues me to the third thing that I've been doing is actually keeping a journal. I have been writing my thoughts out, like just like what am I feeling, thoughts and prayers, actually writing things down. And sometimes, when you're in your head, like just all the things are happening in your head, and sometimes you can forget how ridiculous your mind actually is. Like you can forget how ridiculous you sound with some of these thoughts once you see written down. So the practice that I've been doing is when I'm feeling like, I'm not good enough, I'm feeling all these like anxious untruths, I'll write it down and like reread it to myself and just be like, wait a damn minute. Now that's a damn lie. That's a damn lie. And like fighting back with the word of God, there's certain things like, with how I look, and just be like, fighting back with the word of God, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and things of that nature. When I feel anxious, going back to the Bible and being like, okay, why am I anxious? What's causing this anxiety, and what does the Bible say about it? Is it things that are actually happening around me, or am I just creating trauma because I'm too much into my head? You know what I'm saying? So writing all those things down helps me. I'll be like, this is ridiculous, or this is an area that you actually need to grow from. Maybe you need to be a better communicator. Maybe you need to do this better and whatever. So writing it down has been like, helping me like get out of my head and actually visualize like, am I having like, what is happening? So that's been also helpful. Like I suggest you do it if you can. Keep it at night, in the morning when you wake up, just like start your day slow. Write some things down, write some intentions down, or whatever have you, but like writing it down actually does help you. And if you're struggling, write what you're struggling with, why do you think you're struggling, and etc, etc. So that's been helpful. And another thing that I've also been doing is trying something new. I've been taking swimming lessons. Right now I still look raggedy, but it's still lessons all the same. I can survive in a pool, I'm not gonna drown, none of that. But it's been fun realizing like, okay, dang, my shoulder hurts. But it's been fun just being like, yo, my body can actually do this. I can actually be underwater, like facing certain fears. So that's been one of the outlets, some of the things that I've been doing. That's been amazing. Also creating content, being like, yo, I'm picturing this, like, yeah, maybe I can do it. Turning on my camera and actually recording, turning on my phone and actually playing with different sounds, playing with different edits. And yeah, another thing that I've been doing more, I've been taking more pictures, actually editing it. So like just working with the cameras, working behind the scenes, I've really been enjoying it, and I've been like, yo, I'm actually good at this. So things like that, I've really just like been plugging myself. That way you continuing to grow, you continue to sharpen certain skills, and also discovering new ones. Like I didn't know I would enjoy working with the camera as much as I do, but I do. You know what I'm saying? Like playing with lighting, just figuring out certain things. Some of the different things that I've been doing to really take care of myself, to really grow out, to really challenge my mind, to really have fun, with life. I don't want to look back on life and being like I didn't live, I didn't try new things, I just like was afraid or whatever. No, I'm living life. I came here to live life. I'm gonna live life so that when I go meet my creator, when I go back and I'm in heaven, that I actually used up as much of the resources that God gave me as I possibly could, that I use them wisely, that I use them to help people, that I use them to inspire people, and all of the things. So very, very exciting. And the last thing that I've been doing, well, not necessarily the last thing, there's so many things that I do, but the last thing I want to talk about that I do is taking myself on solo dates and taking myself on solo trips. Last year I took 2 solo trips, and every other, you know, week or weekend, whenever I had the time and I had the money, I always would take myself out to eat. Just like being by yourself, enjoying your own company. I don't need to wait for people to invite me. I don't need to wait for somebody to want to celebrate me. I don't need to have to wait for somebody to hit me up for me to go out to eat. If I want to go out to eat, if I see a restaurant that I like, I'm going to go to the restaurant and eat it. Take myself for drinks, getting dolled up and actually looking cute, going to dinner. My favorite thing to do is to, you know, get dressed and go to dinner. So why not? Why not do it? Why just sit and wait on people? So becoming comfortable with that, taking myself on dates, taking myself on solo trips. I went to Chicago. If you haven't checked out the vlog, definitely check it out. I also went to Washington, DC. So just like putting myself out there to do things by myself. I love community. I love my sisters. I love when I have those times with friends and whatever have you. But I don't just want to wait for people to live my life. You know what I'm saying? So like just being mindful and being cognizant, that's a word, right? Cognizant? It is a word, cognizant, being mindful of that, of living my life and all of that. And when all is done and said, essentially just like sitting my behind home. I realize that I have a people-pleasing tendency, so my natural disposition sometimes just like is to do the most, try to find people to do the most and whatever have you, and just like also no. Alright, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, Z's.